So you have to understand that at the beginning, there was no issue with sharing with China and exchanging. Universities did it, businesses did it. It was not a big deal. But now, and again, remember what I've been talking about, this decoupling that's happening with China. Well, basically, China was decoupling from the U.S. Doesn't really need the U.S. that much, but still needs it. And the U.S. doesn't feel that love anymore, and feel that maybe, well, I'm going to be left alone here, and I don't know how to do these things that I used to know how to do. This is what this story is about. I mean, then of course there's a story. I will talk about the second story about Nvidia, but this is a story about a country that is slowly losing ground if you don't do something quickly. I mean, obviously something is happening. What do I mean? What do I mean by? Hey, Raul Gomez, how are you? Thanks for joining us today. What do I mean by the U.S. is losing ground? Let's just talk about industry manufacturing right now. But the U.S. share of global manufacturing output has declined from 30% to 16% today in the past 25 years. Semiconductors, batteries, steel, and machine tools, we are losing ground. Right? Aging infrastructure, underinvestments, over-reliance on global supply chains. Now, if you were in a world where everybody gets along and you could exchange, which the U.S. had been doing, right? They've been exporting and all that industry overseas, the manufacturing, so it could focus on the creation, could be focusing on the most important thing, and that's what the U.S. was doing. And that's okay. Of course, job had to change, but at the end of the day, it was a good mix. But unfortunately, what has been happening is the U.S. is losing ground, and it feels that it doesn't want to lose ground anymore because it wants to retain and this is also this idea of bringing it all back to the U.S. What do I mean? So basically, the U.S. share of global manufacturing output has declined from 30% to 16%. I mean, I don't know if you're in the industry, but this is huge. This is a huge amount. Okay, but what happened? How do I mean, I remember we used to invest in Intel. Intel was like the thing, right? Everybody was into Intel. How did that happen? Well, starting in the 80s and the 90s, U.S. Semiconductor, we're talking the 80s. Intel, AMD increasingly outsourced manufacturing to reduce costs, right? And you did reduce costs. There is a benefit to outsource because you reduce your costs so you could allocate more efficiently the resources that you have. And foundries, where you make the chips, like TSM in Taiwan and Samsung in South Korea, took on the bulk of high-end chip fabrication. So now, basically, the U.S. only produced 12% of the world's chips versus 37% in 1990. And U.S. firms such as Qualcomm, Nvidia, and AMD shifted to fabless model, designing chips but relying on foreign foundries to make them. Same thing with T-shirts and shoes, right? Let's make it all overseas. And Asian foundries invested heavily in cutting edge, outpacing U.S. fabs in both scale and technology. So what happened is Intel was making, the fabrication of the chip in the U.S., but since you were exporting a lot and the technology went overseas, you didn't know how to make the chips anymore. Well, you know how to make it, but you're not the best. So, and of course, underinvestment in fabrication. Building advanced fab costs 15 to 20 billion and take years to invest. And Asia offered massive government subsidies. And the US, unfortunately, lagged in corporate incentive until Biden and the CHIP Act. They said, we got to do something. Guys, we're losing ground. We're losing ground slowly. We have to do something. We are losing ground in building the chips. We need to build the chips, not the potato chips, right? I just invested $3 in Nvidia for the first time. Well, I mean, be careful, okay? But it's only $3, so that's okay. But Nvidia is extremely overvalued. It's worth $4 trillion. And the market is overvalued, so be careful. But I mean, if it's only $3, how much can you lose? And Nvidia is a great company. Don't get me wrong. It's just that and frankly, it's a they're out there. First time investor in Cash App. Yes, I mean this channel is about investing. It's about understanding the world we're living in. It's understanding what's happening, really happening. Now, I'm not giving you the news. I'm going to explain to you what it means and how it could benefit you. And obviously, we're talking Nvidia, we're talking Intel, but most importantly, what we're looking for a black swan. We want to make sure we're not investing in things that are, we see it coming. Sorry, I'm very ignorant. No. There's nothing about being ignorant here. Echo 420. This is all about learning. This is kind of a learning channel, right? This is a learning channel. I mean, some people may feel that we could have done it this way, we could have done it that way. It's not done the right way. But the idea of this channel is to identify the risks. But obviously, it's like you're crossing the street. For you to cross the street, you need to look left and you look right. Otherwise, you're going to get run over. That's all it's about, right? So what we're saying is the U.S. semiconductor lost that race because it didn't invest enough and it let somebody else build it. Complex supply chain dependency. Chip making requires rare equipment and chemicals. The U.S. is strong in design and some equipment, but weakened in packaging, testing, and materials, area where Asia leads. And this is kind of what's happening with the pharmaceutical industry, quite frankly, where a lot of the manufacturing is done overseas while the design, the research is done here. But now, for some reason, we could discuss this at a later date, we fear that no, we need to make it here. We need to make everything here, and we need, well, not everything, but we need to do research, and we need to make it, we need to keep it in the U.S. Why? Well, Taiwan and South Korea treated semiconductor as strategic national industries. They channel billions into R&D. Manufacturing capacity. China more recently adopted a similar approach, investing over $150 billion in its semiconductor self-sufficient push. And the U.S. semiconductor workforce has aged, with fewer new engineers trained in high-volume manufacturing. The U.S., believe it or not, and maybe that's something you should look into, need a lot of engineers in semiconductors. STEM immigration policy shifts also impacted talent inflow. We need people that learn and understand technology and able to do it. After the Cold War, chips were seen more of a commercial good than a strategic asset. Nobody cared about it. It's just to put in the iPhone. But now, it wasn't until the late 2010s between U.S. and China tension. So what's happening deep down in the background, right? There's this tension with China, and a real tension. The U.S. is concerned that China does not need the U.S. anymore. And then you've got Russia that is very close to China. And now India, right? They're going to meet very soon. All these countries are going to meet very soon. And that, my friends, is a challenge. If I'm not going to say it's a problem, it's a challenge. For example, you could see as the U.S. administration is trying to get the attention of China by trying to meet and postpone and discuss. I think today the administration wants China to quadruple the amount of soybean, soy, right, that it's importing from the U.S. The U.S. is asking, so listen, you got to buy more from me. It's not just chips and AI, it's about soybeans. So the point is, the concern and the strategy is that these three, and they're part of BRICS. This BRICS situation could be an issue. Hey, Kurt Castor, thanks for joining the conversation. Right, it's an issue. Why? Because you're not losing, but they're playing by themselves in the courtyard. So you got China over there. And the reason you could tell, that's how you could tell, is these are the only countries that are not really reacting to the US. Right? Taiwan wanted to meet, came over. The president of Taiwan came to, hey, Professor Hoke, how you doing? Taiwan came over. Taiwan came over, and the administration said, no, don't drop by. Don't drop by right now. I'm dealing with China. I can't deal with you. You were supposed to invest 100 billion. Now I want 400 billion. Otherwise, I'm going to leave you, on your own, and we're not going to, right? And then Switzerland came over, all the way from Switzerland. The president come over. She said, "What do you mean 39%? What are you talking about? I thought we were friends." But that's one kind of relationship. Then you have the other type of relationship with India, Russia, and China. Trump went to the government went to the U.S. government went to Modi and said, you got to stop buying the oil from Russia. And India says, no, I can't do that. Well, why not? I take 30% of my oil from Russia, but I'm trying to stop the war. We are trying to stop the war in Ukraine. So stop doing it. He says, no, I'm not going to stop doing it. So that's not working. This thing with Russia and Putin, right? They're going to meet August 15th. That's not working either. That war keeps on going. And China, they keep postponing. So the real concern, and this is why I want you to read between the lines, is that these three countries are basically not reacting the other small countries are reacting. Now, for good reason. I mean, these are, large, powerful countries. So listen, I'm doing my thing. And this is kind of what the U.S. administration is trying to do. It's trying to say, well, you know what? Then we need to, hey, Leilak, we're going to try to manage this thing efficiently here, right? We want to make sure we're not losing ground. Now, you need to understand that, for example, in India, the administration wanted to have a Quad Leaders Conference between U.S., India, Australia, and Japan. So you see what's happening. The U.S. is trying to get to Asia and be relevant in Asia. But he says, no, I don't want to meet right now because, you're going to charge me 40%? 40%, 50%, I'm sorry, 50% the U.S. is going to charge India. That's a lot. But the PM, Modi, Indian PM, Prime Minister, is going to attend the SCO summit in China. He will visit China for the SCO summit August 31st to September 1st. So we're in a courtyard here, and they're starting to ignore you. Marking the first time since 2019. He will also meet the PM Prime Minister in Tokyo. And then Putin is expected to visit India by the end of 2025. So they're having their own thing now. I mean, it's a good thing. They have the right to, make their country great again as well. So the U.S. is kind of trying to manage this process, and this is what you should read when you see what's happening with the situation with Nvidia and with Intel right now, because that's the situation. Now, the U.S. basically lost the semiconductor race, or is lagging in a big way, because don't forget, semiconductor years to critical loss is about 5 to 7 years. In 5 to 7 years, it's going to be tough to recoup that loss. Now, what does that have to do with this Intel CEO? And why is he in a hot seat? Why is he in a hot seat? Because the president basically said that I don't like him. I think we have a problem. He didn't say I don't like him. What he says is he called for his removal because of his tie to Chinese businesses. So you could see the China theme is back again, right? And he says, well, listen, I'm religion born. I'm an American citizen. The thing is, he was instrumental. They call him Mr. Chip. And Intel should be lucky to have him technically because, I mean, he started a few months ago. But he literally helped China become what it is today as far as chip manufacturing and semiconductors. Right? The only thing is, he also helped the development of Cadence Design System, and that company that he helped turn around pleaded guilty not too long ago to pay more than $150 million to resolve Justice Department, charging that it was selling chip design product to a Chinese military university. So that is not good. Now, he led the company until 2021, but still, they're wondering what's going on. Now, he took over CEO of Intel in March of this year. And he said, well, you know, and his view is that he wants to revive the Intel manufacturing operations. He has been aiming to find external customer for the foundry. He says, no, we have to keep making chips in the United States. Stop having it made overseas. Make it here, right? He helped build the China's chip industries. Now, of course, that could cost him his job as he's trying to rescue America, one-time chip champion. You know, they need some help. Cyberwolf. Cyberwolf is saying the declining population could allow ecosystem to recover naturally. Interesting topic, but we'll talk about that at some point. Tyan has been focused on reviving Intel, and basically, he founded this company in 1987. In 1993, Chinese official invited him to introduce the concept of venture capital in 1993, and he actually created. So he does have strong ties to China. He does have, and he was an early investor, and Tan's role in advancing China has been in Washington radar since 2023. Unfortunately, now they're saying, yes, he's a great guy, he knows a lot, he could bring a lot to the industry, but maybe he is a little bit too close to China. And that's a problem. That's a problem for him, and that's a problem for Intel. And in fact, within the board itself, they're having issues with him because what he wants to do, he wants to not only do the manufacturing, but he wants also to push further in AI. And a lot of the board members basically are wondering if Intel should stay in the manufacturing business or exit it entirely. He says, no, don't do that, right? He wanted to raise new capital to acquire artificial intelligence. Now, let's talk about artificial intelligence, because the problem is we may have the same thing happening with AI. Now, don't forget, right now, in terms of global market share, ChatGPT, for example, is reigning king, right? 82%. Everybody loves loves ChatGPT. DeepSeek, which is the Chinese equivalent, is only 1.59% of the market. But it was launched in early 2025, and quite frankly, it has a massive 186% job. So even DeepSeek in China is growing very fast, extremely fast. And the administration is fighting on two fronts, trying to get the AI business running, trying to get the semiconductor relevant. Now, ChatGPT is still but could the U.S. lose the AI race? And there are strong parallels between what happened to the U.S. semiconductor leadership and what could happen with AI. And some key differences that might prevent a repeat if addressed early. What are you talking about? Well, manufacturing offshoring, AI model training increasingly happening in non-U.S. hardware overseas data centers. A lot of the stuff is done overseas. Foundry dominance, concentration of GPU manufacturing in Taiwan and in Asia. Lack of subsidies. U.S. subsidies for AI smaller than what the China is doing to its own AI. Supply chain gaps, workforce gaps. China and India are producing far more AI and ML graduates annually than the U.S. The U.S. is losing ground. So the U.S. is focusing on short-term profit over long-term AI infrastructure security. We may have the same thing developing over it again. So let me ask you a question. Let me see where, let's see, first of all, in the audience. Let's see if you know, if I want to know if you guys are using Chat GPT or any other, thing. I want to know really if you understand. Let's start a poll right now. Let's see if you understand what's going on with the industry. Let's see if you use chatbots like Chat GPT. There's a bunch of them. Now you have to also realize that more and more in the job market, companies are requiring AI. They want AI to become a thing. They want, in fact, I've noticed a lot of people that are looking for jobs, unfortunately, are having issues because, the companies are looking at what AI can do, and then they realize, oh, you know what? I don't really need you to do this. So what you should do is you definitely, as my subscribers, I want you to understand what a chatbot is. When an AI chatbot, I want you to realize what it is. I want you to understand it because it's impacting the industry quite a bit. It's impacting a lot. Now, does this mean that the U.S. is in trouble? No, the U.S. is not in trouble, but the U.S. unfortunately is having issues for the future. Essentially the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking, and slowly but surely. Now the question is the U.S. administration is going about it the right way? Right? That's the question. Are you doing it the right way? Are you actually when you call the CEO of Intel, I want to ask for your removal because ties to Chinese businesses. Now you have to understand, it's not like those ties literally. Kurt says, I'm waiting for second generation AI that I think Elon Musk is developing. Yes, he's working on Grok. He's working on Grok right now, and hopefully it makes a difference. Hopefully he's able to, because Grok, I think if I look at the market share, he's not even, Grok is a Twitter integrated chatbot, which has about 35 to 39 million monthly users. It's a good foothold, but he's not registering yet. I mean, DeepSeek is also, well, DeepSeek now went from 33 to 97 million. So that's a lot. There's a humongous amount of interest in AI. And that is something that you need to realize that it's very important. And don't forget to subscribe, you should understand what the importance of AI. You should understand the importance of why semiconductors. You should realize that the U.S. is slowly losing that race, but it also may be just doing the same thing with AI. Now, obviously, what do you care, right? Well, no, obviously for jobs, you need to care about jobs. You also need to care because of the stock market, where you're going to be invested. Because right now, somebody was telling me they invested $4 and $3 in Nvidia. Well, I mean, where should I invest my money? You need to be an informed person. You're not just out here to listen and gobble up the news, trying to see, okay. No, you need a place where you could understand what is happening. It's almost like a class, right? We're learning about AI. We're learning about semiconductor. We're learning about the place that the U.S. has within the world and what's happening to that place and who is doing what to try to enhance that. Many people have different opinions as to, is this the right way of doing it? Is this a wrong way? Because, and the second topic, which I think is quite interesting, frankly, is the fact that the U.S. is basically, Nvidia has agreed to give to the administration a portion of the sale from the artificial intelligence chip to China. This is unusual. A company is paying the government 15% of sales from that chip, so to allow it to sell to China. right? The Trump administration will receive 15% of the sales as part of a deal to approve export of the Nvidia H20 AI chips to China. What's going on? That we're talking billions of dollars, billions of dollars. And this is a technique that the White House is doing right now to collect money. And frankly, I think it's also a way to rein in and to show control that I am in charge. And believe it or not, this is important because many people have asked, well, how come the tariffs are not going anywhere? How come we're not seeing a drop in the tariffs? I mean, how come the tariffs are not moving? I know they're not moving the tariffs to the people, right? Because quite frankly, there's some concern that, you don't want to have the U.S. administration go after you showing, hey, you're not helping. You're creating inflation. Stop doing that. And the U.S. administration also have the same agreement with AMD. AMD is going to give the U.S. administration 50% sales of its MI 308 chips. So, because don't forget, these were all altered in April. The U.S. administration said, that's it, you're not sending anything overseas anymore. These are strong views, right? Because there was tension between, don't forget, those chips are going to China, right? And that has gone on the charm offensive since then, they're talking to officials in both countries. So basically, the CEO of Nvidia went to the White House and said, listen, okay, let's talk about this. What do you mean I can't sell anything? And somehow he said, okay, you could sell it, but I'm going to need 15%. Maybe that's what's going to happen with the CEO of Intel. He's going to go to the White House. He said, listen, I'm an American citizen. I am familiar with chips industry. Yes, I did business in China, and I helped them grow their business, but doesn't mean I'm going to sell everything out. I am here to explain, and you should use my huge 40 years experience in developing the business. You should take advantage of that. That's what you should be doing. And maybe then the administration is going to say, great, then give me 10% of the sales or invest more into the U.S. Although they said they were going to invest $100 billion, then invest $300 billion. I think that's kind of the strategy here. I want to make sure that you guys understand that U.S. administration is in charge and controls everything and wants to understand what's happening because it has a big job to do. Now, is this the right way of doing it? That's a question that many ask. And we'll see. I mean, not too much of a choice right now. I mean, it is what it is. Now, of course, you have to understand. We'll say, well, but then we're sending the technology to China. Well, no. Under Biden, Nvidia developed the H20 specifically for the Chinese model. After the Biden administration placed export restriction on more advanced AI chips, so the U.S. doesn't want to send, even Biden or Trump or whatever, they don't want to send a better, more advanced chip to China, just enough to have a market, but not for you to use it in ways that could be detrimental to us. The same way China does not want to send the rare mineral earth to the U.S. in case you use it to put in missiles they're going to send us and attack us with it, right? It's a very tenuous relationship. Everybody is trying to see how we could work together, but we know we really can't, and it's a tough, but we need each other, right? The Chinese authorities, of course, recently have raised concern about the H20 chips themselves. They say, what is this thing? It's not friendly, and it comes with security risks. So Chinese model, because the U.S. administration had made exporting U.S. AI to the rest of the world as a top priority. So the U.S. wants to export the AI as well, hoping that American chip and model companies become the standard globally. Because Chinese models from companies such as DeepSeek, which are taking hold in many countries. And guess where they're taking hold? In Asia, in that India area, which they have 56% of the market. So what's happening, as you could see, slowly but surely is developing. Right? Let's take a look at the result of this poll. 80%. Wow. Do you use 80% of you do not use AI chatbot? No, you have to start looking at it, my friends. You need to I know you do Google, right? So it's kind of like Google, but it's much better because you could literally have a discussion with it. You go on, this is how you do it. I'm sure Kurt using it, but most of you don't use it. No, you need to learn how to use it because, it could be good for your job, could make you more valuable. 82%. No, this is still not good. No, no, no. I want my subscribers to know about AI chatbot. It may not be the most exciting things to know, understand. It's not entertaining, but this is very important for your job and your future and your well-being. I need to tell you, you need to know how to use this thing. You have to know how to use. So these are the names that you need to know, specific for my subscribers. This is what you need to know. You could download ChatGPT. It's free. Well, if you want the more, there's Google Gemini, which I like. Just go on. You all have an iPhone. Go on. Go in the App Store and click Gemini, Gemini, and download it. And see what it does for you, and ask it questions. And and it's not like Google. It's more complex because with an AI bot, what you can do is you can talk back and forth. Like you could say, "I'm looking for a job in in this town. Are they hiring people with my qualifications?" It's going to say which town. You're going to say this town, and you say, "What are your qualifications?" Boom. You could even upload your resume. And then it matches you. It tells you where are the jobs. Literally, it helps you. And then you say, well, I'm not looking for this, I'm looking for that. And then what happens, you could have a discussion with the bot, and it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You need to know that. I will tell you why you need to know that. Because right now, in terms of jobs, what's happening is a lot of the companies are reviewing current positions. And they're saying, can AI do the same thing? No, you have to realize, okay, ChatGPT, right? So essentially, the amount of the traffic, right? The traffic, 60% of AI-related web traffic is done through ChatGPT. Right? On the usage side, I believe that the traffic on the internet is heavily through the U.S. The AI chatbot market was valued at $10 billion, is expected to grow to 24 to 30%. So you may want to look at some of these companies as well, if they are available, right? Projected growth to around 46 to 47 billion from 10 billion in the next 4 years. Weekly active, right, users surged from 400 million people in February to 800. I want you to be part of those 800 million. You need to use it. I mean, you don't have to use ChatGPT. There's Perplexity, there's Microsoft Copilot, there's Google Gemini, there's DeepSeek from China. There's a lot of different ones. But you need to be involved, because what's happening with the jobs, the people are going in and they're literally letting go of people because they said, you know what? ChatGPT can do your job. And basically, if you're a hairdresser, don't worry about it. But if you work in an office and you're processing documents, like you're reading files, and then you have to report on those files. ChatGPT could literally take a PDF file, read it, and tell you what's in it. In fact, it could take a look at a 10K, right? Take a look at the 10K, read the 10K, and tells you what is the growth of the company in sales and things like that. That's what it can do. That is important, and that's what you need to realize. So this is very important for you to understand what's going on here, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to know what this is about. We want to understand the current situation, which, quite frankly, is moving a lot. Is moving fast. So what is Intel doing? Right? Intel is pivoting from chasing Nvidia and AI to building a cohesive, vertical, integrated AI strategy. And this is why this guy is coming in. This guy is coming in to say, okay, you know what we should be doing here? We should be changing things. We should be looking at making Intel more of. We need to build the stuff in the U.S. And you know, that's it. That's the issue that we're potentially having. And you need. I want you to be aware of it. I want you to understand what's happening, and I think it's important. Frankly, going forward, it is extremely important for you to know what is going on. And this is what this channel is about. Right? This channel is about the black swan. We are here to understand what's happening. We're here to understand what in this world that we're in. Where are the risks? For example, let's take a look at the economy. Do we have a problem with the economy right now? Right now, what's happening is sales. I mean, the new jobs creation is okay. It's been weaker very recently. There's been a drop. The July employment numbers were 73,000. And then the worst part of it is, and you should be aware of that, in June 2025, we thought we had 147,000 and we ended up having 14. And then in May, we thought we had 144 and then we ended up having 19. Why do you think the U.S. administration fired that woman at BLS? They say, what is this? I thought I had 144,000 jobs, only have 19. I thought I had 147, I only had 14, and now you're telling me that I have 73. Do I have 73? What's going on in the economy? I am not so sure I'm looking at it. And frankly, that is a problem, right? The Bureau of Labor Statistics had some dramatic, rough time. There's a situation with the numbers. Meaning that the July numbers are down. We don't even not sure what we're looking at. Is that a concern? Well, potentially, right? Where does the number come from? The number comes from the Business of Labor Statistics. And these people, let me tell you, you need to know this. They come up with two big numbers. They come up with the added jobs, and they come up with the CPI. That's right. So if you don't trust either of them numbers, what the heck is going to happen? And I believe, if I'm not incorrect, that the CPI numbers, when is the CPI? And I think it's this week. The market is down, by the way, for those of you that are interested. So you need to understand that BLS is in trouble. It's not that they're cooking the book, it's that the BLS is being cooked, according to someone. Meaning that there's not enough people working there. The people are not answering the surveys. I mean, that's what they're telling you. And frankly, the U.S. administration let go a lot of people in the government. Therefore, we are not able to do our job right. That's what they're saying. Now, having said that, BLS had two huge revisions. The first one was last year. Right. Basically, in August, they said that the 818,000 people. There was a downward revision of 818,000 in August of 2024, meaning that we thought we had the jobs, and actually we did not. Most of you are already victims by social programming. Well, John Medina brings up an interesting point that I need and this is what I created this channel for, is because you have to be very careful as to what you're listening to and what you hear and what you watch, because most of the time it's not in the middle. Most of the time it's either this way or it's that way. And you want to be in the middle most of the time because you want to be able to make up your own mind. Unfortunately, if somebody keeps showing you this side and you don't know that side, then you figure, well, that's the side that that's where everything is. Maybe not necessarily. Maybe the thing is on this side. So, right, you need to make sure that you're providing with information that is really centered to you and that's helpful to you. Right? You want to understand what's happening. By the way, don't forget to buy me a cup of coffee with some super chats. I'm due for coffee today. Anyway, so what's happening with the 818,000? So basically, it was a revision. Now, is that a big number? Why is the administration so upset about all these revisions? Well, no, that number was significant both statistically and politically. The numbers revised were huge last year, and then, to make matter worse, this year, May was revised from 125 from 144, and in June by 133,000 jobs. So we thought you had 147,000 new jobs, you only had 14. You thought you had 144, you only had 19. This is a combined loss now this year. So last year we lost 800, quote unquote, we never had. Now this year is 258. And the BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that woman that just got fired, she said, well, these were larger than normal. This, believe it or not, this is what you need to know. This 258,000 total revision is the largest 2-month downward adjustment since at least 1968, excluding the pandemic period. So of course you got to say, well, because basically the administration said she lied and she falsified the numbers and all kind of things, right? All the way in on this one. The point is, what really happened? Well, we're going to find out soon what happened. But the point is that you lost 258,000. This was significant. It impacted you. It impacted you because the Fed could have lowered the rates in May and in June, and he didn't do it because he thought, well, we have jobs, so it's not a big deal. Now, if you had such a huge drop, you would say, maybe I should do something, and that's what happened. That is the concern. Okay? So what's going on with the economy? The economy is going to be fine. Right now, it is fine because unemployment rate is only 4%. So again, if you hear telling you that, oh, we lost this, there's not enough job creation, we're going to be in trouble. Well, okay, but right now it's 4% unemployment. Come on, let's not get carried away here. I mean, we got inflation. Yeah, we have inflation, but it's a low number considering what we had historically. So it's not a big deal. I wouldn't worry too much about it right now. The question is, what's going to happen to all of these? What's going to happen to all of these tariffs? Are they going to permeate through? Are they going to go? They're going to get through the economy, right? That's what you want to worry about. That's what you want to know. Is that going to happen? So that's a concern. That's the issue that we have right now. Okay. Then the other issue that we have, frankly, is the fact that with Russia, and that's another risk, that's risk number 9, with Russia currently, so the U.S. is going to go to have a meeting with them August 15th in a meeting in Alaska. Why? Because we want, the U.S. wants to stop the war, the fighting in Ukraine. Is that the real reason? Is that the real reason why the U.S. wants to go to Alaska to talk to Russia? Maybe not. Maybe what we're talking about is the fact that the U.S. wants to make sure that this war ends quickly because Russia is getting weaker. And the weaker it gets, guess what? It gets closer to China. Again, we have this relationship that we're trying to break away from. That is not very helpful. The tariffs themselves are huge. We have a huge amount of tariffs right now. But why? Because it's a tool that the U.S. is using right now to shake things up and trying to make things happen for the U.S. But is that going to be successful? Is that going to work? We shall see. So essentially, what we're seeing, we were in an environment right now where the U.S. is trying to remain relevant, literally relevant. So this idea to bring the Intel CEO to the White House and say, okay, what have you done for me lately? Right? You're a little too close to the Chinese. I don't trust you. Show me that I could trust you. But at the end of the day, what the U.S. administration wants is, I want you to give me some money and invest like Nvidia did. That's kind of the idea, right? That's what they're looking to do. They want that kind of relationship. They want that kind of money. And that's important. So let me ask you another question. Have you been displaced because of AI? Let's see. Hopefully nobody has. But let me do another poll. Let's start the poll. Have you been displaced because... Hey, Michael Barrett, how are you? Have you been displaced because of AI? Thanks for joining the conversation today. Today we're learning all about what's happening with Intel, or what's happening with Nvidia, or what's happening with AI and semiconductors. I think it's not the most exciting discussion, but it's the most important discussion. Like, for example, yesterday I had a discussion on the Social Security, and you know, people thought that, well, I mean, we're going to get the money from the tariffs, that's going to pay for Social Security. No, there is not enough money for Social Security, okay? And that is something that you need to be aware of. Why? Because there's too many people. It's nothing to do with the Social Security number. The Social Security really comes from your payroll taxes, and there's not enough people working anymore. So, and the U.S. administration is basically going to ask to spend more money towards it, but the laws needs to be changed. And right now, I am not so sure if that's about to happen. Right? Okay. This is what happens when Switzerland wants to go to the White House. Switzerland went to the White House to say, well, what do you mean 39%? Why are you charging me 39%? I need more. You can't charge me 39%. That's not fair. So they went to the White House, and the White House said, you're not meeting with the president today. Sorry, you're not meeting with the president. That's not happening. It is not going to happen. You're not meeting with the president. And there was some concern. They were concerned that, well, what do you mean? I mean, why not? Why can't I meet with the president? Well, you can't meet with the president because, frankly, you're going to pay 39%. And frankly, you are also charging quite a bit for agriculture to go into Switzerland. So this administration is playing a tough game, a hard game, and is being really tough. And you have to understand that the administration right now is an issue, right? Let's see. I'm in Australia. I'm on 50 acres, and I own, as far as I can see, there's a magic moment going through a divorce. Well, I'm happy for you, Michael, but I'm happy for you. Hopefully the weather is good over there. How is Australia viewing the U.S. right now? That's the question. Right? So there's a lot of issue going on right now, and hopefully this was helpful to you. We're going to come back later on with some more interesting topics, and I will see you very shortly, guys.